Blog This News Podcast. Blog This News Podcast. New episode. Like and subscribe. Join the movement. Blog This News Podcast.
Two arrests in connection to a shooting in northwest Miami-Dade. Luis Malave and Roscoe Jenkins are behind bars, each facing an attempted murder charge. Police say the suspects approached the victim outside Miami Quick Stop on the corner of Northwest 51st Street and 23rd Avenue. The men all reportedly got into a fight before Malave shot the victim several times. A warrant states Malave then got into a shootout with another man who shot Malave in the leg.
All right, y'all, we're going to get into this story. First of all, welcome to Blog This News Podcast, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with us. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Please join the movement. We will be bringing some of the best content, reporting some of the most interesting stories that deal with events that are going on in the mainstream media and outside of the mainstream media, and just basically having conversations. We do a lot of reactions to arrests and high-speed chases and different situations that different individuals find themselves wrapped up in, and we just kind of do reactions in real time. And we also react on these stories that we report in real time, just from our point of view here at Blog This News Podcast. But we also welcome any other conversation, any other comments, any other input, any other point of view on anything that we report. So once again, we thank y'all for joining. This is another episode of Blog This News Podcast. We're going to speak on this situation that happened down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with that gentleman right there, Luis Malave. He got arrested, as well as that gentleman right there next to him, Roscoe Jenkins. It seems like, just me doing a brief read over the story and just trying to get familiar with it, it seems like that this guy was Roscoe Jenkins' shooter, that the black guy being Roscoe Jenkins. Seems like they got into it with another gentleman that Roscoe felt like was trying to kind of step on his toes or sell drugs in his territory, and that's what the beef kind of started from. That ultimately led to Malave shooting this other guy. I believe his name is Pierre, but we're gonna get into the story so we can kind of talk about it, dive into it a little bit more. But once again, that is Luis Alfredo Malave. He's already a convicted felon, according to the Florida Department of Corrections. I think he had a trafficking charge in 2010, but this event happened here in 2024. So this last case was in 2010, and that's the only thing they got on him is something in 2024. It seems like he was staying out of trouble for over a decade, just to be honest. Almost 2 decades, just to be honest. But it seems like the victim in this case, let's speak on the victim first. I know his name was Pierre, so we're gonna definitely say speak on the victim first. But it looks like from the story, these guys, Pierre was, I guess, trying to sell drugs in Jenkins' territory. The black guy, Roscoe Jenkins, who was trying to sell drugs in his territory. They got into it on, it looks like, February the 11th, where he threatened the dude Pierre. Pierre's a 47-year-old gentleman. He threatened him and said, "I'm going to show you. I bet you die." Jenkins told Pierre, according to the police, a detective with the police department, Ms. Tiffany Macia. She said that in a statement that a couple days prior to Malave shooting Pierre from the direction of Jenkins, that Jenkins made a statement to Pierre and said, "I'm gonna shoot you. I bet you die." So that is, again, when you send out threats like that and then it end up happening, you more than likely gonna get locked up for that. So don't just send vague threats. I mean, people get locked up. If you threaten someone and say, "I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna do something to you," that's a charge also. I believe it's a felony. But let's get into the story. The headline, which reads, "Cocaine trafficker which I guess he went by the name. I guess they talking about Malave, Luis Alfredo Malave now. Say he went by the name as King Fufie. He turns up during a drug dealers fight over Miami-Dade territory. So the story reads that Luis Alfredo Malave, he's 19 years old, which he was 19 years old, I should say, when the police arrested him for cocaine trafficking twice in the same year in Miami-Dade. He was known as King Fufie. So I guess that was back in 2010. After violating a 3-year probation, Malave was 20 years old when he was convicted of cocaine trafficking and sentenced to 5 years in prison. County and state records show this. The Florida Department of Corrections released him in 2014. He wasn't arrested in Miami-Dade until recently, when detectives say he got in the middle of a territorial dispute amongst drug dealers. Malave, who's 30 years old as of now, was back behind bars in Miami-Dade. A judge denied him bond on Wednesday. Detectives believe there was arguments for 3 days before Malave followed a drug dealer's order to shoot a rival, Jim Pierre, on February the 13th in a Brownsville neighborhood, and this is in Florida. Malave wielded a firearm in his right hand. Miami-Dade Detective Victor Maduro wrote in a statement to support a warrant that was for Malave's arrest. Pierre's the guy who got shot, who's 47, reported that Malave first witnessed an argument over a drug dealing debt on February 11th. Roscoe Jenkins' arrival found out about the dispute and confronted Pierre about it on February the 12th. So this went on over the span of 2 days. Roscoe said, "I'm going to show you. I bet you die." And the detectives actually got that in a statement, that when they had the argument back on February 12th, Roscoe threatened Jim Pierre and told him, you're going to die, basically. Jenkins returned with Malave to confront Pierre on February the 13th outside of Mammy Quick, a convenience store at the corner of Northwest 51st Street and 23rd Avenue. All right, what happens next is Jenkins believed that Pierre was attempting to encroach on his drug sales territory. Malave was a passenger of a black Volkswagen that Jenkins was driving. So him and Jenkins came back on the 13th in a black Volkswagen. Detectives later learned that Jenkins' mother had rented the Volkswagen from Hertz. Malave and Jenkins exited the vehicle. So right there, Jenkins, you were riding around in a car that your mother rented for you from Hertz, and you about to commit a crime. That's a bad move right there. Pierre he got shot. He didn't get killed. So he's telling the police exactly what happened. Pierre reported that they argued, and he pulled out his revolver. So Pierre pulled out his revolver while they was in the middle of arguing. He pulled it out from his left pocket after Jenkins shouted an order to Malave, "Man, let's go. Man, bust that racial slur." So I guess he said, that's what the story reads. It says that Jenkins told Malave, "Man, let's go. Man, bust that racial slur." So I guess he said, "Man, bust that nigga." All right, and then from there, surveillance video captured the conflict, and ShotSpotter technology reported 9 rounds were fired at about 11:50 a.m. Pierre was shot in the abdomen. Malave was actually shot in the leg, and Jenkins was shot in the arm, according to police. So let's unwrap this real quick. All right. It started back on the 11th of February. Jenkins and this dude Pierre having some type of beef about drug territory. Jenkins on the 12th got into it with Pierre again, where he threatened him and told him, "I bet you gonna die." And then on the 13th, Jenkins comes back with Malave, and basically that's his shooter, I guess. He gets into another dispute with Pierre, and it gets to the point where he tells Malave to bust that nigga, whatever he said. All right. And then surveillance video, they got it on surveillance. And not only that, but ShotSpotter, which is a technology that the law enforcement have in neighborhoods, to where when just gunshots go off in certain areas, they're able to kind of pinpoint exactly where those gunshots came from. And then police can dispatch or be dispatched to that area to kind of, find out what's going on or get to a scene quickly that could be a shooting scene or anything like that. So ShotSpotter reported 9 rounds were shot. Pierre was shot in the abdomen. A witness said Saw the man on the ground. He lifted his shirt and he was shot. He was talking. He wasn't bleeding out, but he was bleeding inside, a witness told Local 4. So that's when a person gets shot and they not actually bleeding out, you just see a hole, but you don't see no blood coming out. That's a bad wound right there because a person is bleeding inside. So that's what this witness is basically saying. He observed after Malave shot Pierre from the direction of Jenkins. Miami-Dade Fire and Rescue personnel responded to the convenience store and rushed Pierre to Jackson Memorial Hospital Rider Trauma Unit. Jenkins used the Volkswagen to drive Malave to Memorial West Hospital in Pembroke Pines. According to police, detectives later found a Volkswagen parked at a house near Pembroke Pines. So basically, it seems like they all shot each other. Malave shot Pierre. Pierre got two off because remember, Pierre pulled out his revolver when they was arguing. So Malave shot Pierre. Pierre shot Jenkins and Malave, and they all ended up having to go to the hospital. The paramedics came and got Pierre, and then Jenkins drove Malave to a hospital in Pembroke Pines, I should say. Excuse me, y'all. All right. And let's just say moving through the story. So these guys all shot, and it's on surveillance camera. After a Broward County judge signed a search warrant, Pembroke Pines Police Department detectives found a 9mm Taurus handgun in the house where the Volkswagen was parked. And the Volkswagen was parked near the hospital. Broward Sheriff's deputies arrested Malave and Jenkins on Tuesday morning and took them into the main jail in Fort Lauderdale. Deputies extradited them to Miami-Dade, where correctional officers booked them into the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center on Tuesday afternoon. Malave was facing a charge of first-degree attempted murder with a deadly weapon and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, which is a cold charge. If you don't know, man, attempt murder can get you just as much as murder. Attempt murder can get you 30, 40 years. So that's what the Malave was charged with: attempted murder, and then attempted murder with a deadly weapon and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. So two tough felonies. Jenkins was facing charges of first-degree attempted murder with a deadly weapon. Records showed that. So both of them got attempted murder charges. The warrants do not name the shooter who wounded Malave, which I bet you was Pierre. That's what Malave has to get, trying to take orders from Jenkins about something you don't even know about. All right. At this point, detectives will ask for anyone for information to call the Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers at 305-471-8477. So, y'all know anything about that, Miami-Dade police want to talk to you. All right. I don't know nothing about that personally, but moral of the story is it all sounds like some petty activity that's going on, probably over a petty drug corner. Jenkins, trying to stand his ground and protect his drug corner. Pierre, who 47 years old, he shouldn't even be involved in any street level drug activity. He gets shot being 47 years old, still out in the street. So that's a problem right there. Malave, who's basically like a do boy or a flunky, he lets this black guy tell him, hey man, shoot dude, shoot that nigga. So just unfortunate. Just one of them stories we're reporting on. My overall thought on this whole story is that it probably was too petty to even have an issue about. It's just the type of situations that we get ourselves in as individuals. It doesn't matter what race you is, what age you are, what city you live in. Just split-second reactions or not knowing how to control your anger, things like that. I mean, it puts you in a bad position. These guys, probably gonna spend the rest of their life behind bars. Pierre, 47 years old, getting shot in the street, arguing over a drug deal. It's just not worth it. All right, let's just wake up, people. All right. Once again, we do thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blog This News podcast. Once again, guys, like and subscribe. Again, these this content is going to get better and better. We are new in the game. We fresh in the game, but we got a lot to talk about. We got strong opinions over here at Blog This News Podcast, and we got a very interesting view on any type of situation or circumstances going in this crazy world we living in. So once again, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. We ask you guys to please like and subscribe. Please follow up with us for the next videos to come. Like I say, content's going to get better and better, guys. All right? So I hope everybody have a blessed day. And again, once again, thank you for tuning in to Blog This News Podcast.
Look, every day's a work day. I don't take a day off. I'm fucked up, but it ain't a day that I'ma go without. Got the kids in the burbs, they ain't about that trap life. Got my money from the curb, they ain't living my life. In and out the alley, mama belly making ends meet. All we talk about is money when me and my friends meet. Yeah, big heat for the small beef. Little altercation got the boy a large reef. Yeah, caught a brick under the car seat. How I used to ride and I dare nigga cross me. Niggas sell they soul for they wrist to look frosty. They tellin' so they can stay out and keep flossing. And most of these rappers fake, they ain't really did that. Bitches all up in the club, don't know where they kids at. All about to turn up, got them bottles down they throat. Got her ass to the car, put that goggle in her throat. I was on the block at 9, we was never selling soap. They told me it was a 9, so I guess it was a go. Shout out to my Uncle Nate, taught me how to mix the blow. Then he set me up a house, after that it was a go. We was trapping in the snow, paid a fiend to get the steps. Then we reinforced the doors, tell the narcs it's a bet. Tell the narcs it's a bet, cause we know they coming through. But we had that clientele, had the birds coming through. Light them up the block and then we get them in and get them out. Knots all in my sock and it's a struggle trying to get them out. Got some niggas in the pen, they ain't ever coming out. All he wanted was that Bentley, before he got it, got took out. Got took out the game and it's a shame that's how the chips fall. Niggas dodging hurdles just to get caught in a pitfall. Hit it with the funk and now you gotta get that whip off. He just wanna hit the dealership and pull that whip off. Riding to that trap or die, matter of fact the inspiration. Watching BMF on DVD for some motivation. Laid up at the crib with my wife, so I guess I'm caking. Niggas